So you've got to be able to find deals that you can still pay high interest rates and still net positive cash flow. You should look for different ways for you to fund your deals. So you want to buy property in 2023, but the market has done a complete 180 from where it was halfway through 2022. The conditions are changed, interest rates are higher, and that creates a whole new set of challenges for the home buyer. So if you want to understand what those challenges are and how you can face them head on or avoid them completely, stick with me because I'm going to talk to you about the 5 biggest challenges home buyers are going to face in 23. What's going on, everybody? Henry Washington here with Bigger Pockets. I've been investing in real estate since late 2017. In that time, we've been able to acquire over 80 rental properties, and we flip 10, 15 houses a year. As always, if you want to stay in contact with me, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at the Henry Washington on Instagram. And if you want to learn more about buying property in 2023, we did a whole video series on it. You can click the link in the description to check out those videos below. The challenge of finding properties that actually cash flow. You've got 2 huge factors that are essentially eating up investors' cash flow: interest rates being high and inflation being high. The money you borrow for your real estate deal now costs you more than it did 6 months or a year ago. So you've got to be able to find deals that you can still pay high interest rates and still net positive cash flow at the end of each month, which is a lot more difficult now because the interest rates keep rising. The other factor that a lot of people aren't talking about, inflation eating up your cash flow. Everything costs more now. And if everything costs more, if inflation is at a 9% or 8% clip and you're only getting a 10% cash on cash return in your property, well, it's eating up a good percentage of your cash flow. You have to factor in these things as you're looking to buy property. So some of the ways you can fight losing your cash flow to inflation or high interest rates is you have to buy deeper, which means you have to get properties at a deeper discount. And that means you may have to get a little more creative with how you're looking for properties. If you're just accustomed to being able to shop on the MLS, find a deal, and then buy that deal and start getting a great return on your investment, well, that might not be as easy to do. You may have to dig a little deeper. You may have to look at properties that have been listed on the MLS for 90 days or more, right? Because that could be an indication that that seller has a little more reason to accept a lower offer. You also might have to start looking off market, right? And so marketing to people who have some level of distress or reason to sell at a discount, and then seeing if they would be willing to accept an offer in order for you to buy a property that may be a problem to take off their hands. When you're buying a situation and you're not just buying a house, there's much more of an opportunity for you to get a discount. Finding money for your deals in 2023 is more difficult, and it will continue to be more difficult as long as interest rates continue to rise. Banks have PTSD from 2008 still, and so they're starting to tighten up or have already tightened up on their lending rules. They're typically going to require more skin in the game maybe than they were a year ago, meaning you're going to have to put more money down. Their lending criteria is going to be a little more strict. So maybe their credit requirements or some of these other lending criteria are going to be more strict in order for you to even qualify to get that loan. And they may be limiting the amounts of money that they're willing to lend out as a whole, or just the amounts of money that they're willing to lend out to individuals or individual businesses. You may not be able to get multiple loans from the same institution, or maybe not be able to qualify to get a loan from certain institutions at all, depending on the type of real estate deal that you're doing. Understanding that money will be harder to find, prepare yourself for that, meaning you should look for different ways for you to fund your deals. If you have an institution that's going to require more of a down payment or more of a skin in the game, then you may need to start looking into some additional options for you to fund that down payment. You can use something like a HELOC, home equity line of credit, on an existing asset to use as your down payment. You can look at leveraging business credit to use as your down payment. And you can look at using private money or private lending, meaning borrowing money from friends and family or other people in your circle that like, know, and trust you to use as your down payment to get your rental property or to get your investment property. Creative finance is a great way right now to help you hedge against inflation and interest rates, because if you can buy a property either using subject to financing or using owner financing, then you're able to get more favorable loan terms, especially with owner financing. If a seller owns a property free and clear, then you're able to see if they would potentially sell that property on terms to you. And you can sometimes get properties with 0% interest or 1 to 2% interest rates by structuring your seller financing terms to meet the needs of your seller plus meet the needs of you as the investor. All right, the third challenge buyers are going to face in 2023 is the cost of labor and materials. We already talked about how inflation is impacting the market. Well, if stuff costs more money, then the cost of your materials has probably gone up or will continue to go up in 2023. And then labor is going to follow behind that. So you have to plan on the front side for the cost of your labor and materials. So the cost of your renovations and updates to your properties. Part of the ways you can hedge against this is, like we talked about in the last bullet point, you need to buy at a deeper discount, but you also need to factor these costs in on the front side, or make sure your analysis is updated. If a property was going to cost you $20,000 to $30,000 to renovate, then maybe you should consider adding 10 to 15% on top of that for 2023. And then you're factoring that into your analysis when you're making offers on properties, so that you're offering on a property in anticipation of the increased labor and materials costs, so that if you get your offer accepted at that price point, you now have that cushion in your renovation budget when you're buying the property. Things cost more, so be prepared on the front side to make offers that are going to allow you to absorb that, so that you're not having to then come out of your pocket after you already own the property to pay for the increased labor and materials costs. Challenge number 4 is finding a good real estate agent. When you think about the past year, especially when buyer demand was extremely high, agents were able to sell properties fairly quickly, which means there are lots of new agents coming on the market because anybody could make money. Properties were getting multiple offers. Now it's much more difficult. And so you need an agent who understands the current market and who is willing to put in the extra work for you to go out and find these deals that fit your criteria. They're going to have to work harder than they did a year ago, both to sell properties and to find you those good quality listings that you can make offers on at below market value. Some agents aren't going to want to put in tons of offers under market value because that's a lot of work, and the majority of those offers are going to get rejected. And the fifth challenge investors are going to face is declining property values over the year. If interest rates continue to rise, then buyer demand will continue to fall. Housing prices will continue to fall with them. Now, real estate is market specific, so each market is going to have a different rate with which properties may decline. Some markets may not decline at all. They may stay flat. Some markets are declining rapidly. And so you have to, in order to fight this, you have to do a couple of things. You need to prepare yourself on the front side, similar to what we talked about with factoring in labor costs on the front side so that you can make your offer at the appropriate price range. You need to factor in the value of your home not being the same as it was in a few months. That means you need to understand at what rate property values have been or are declining, if at all, in your market. And some of the best people to help you understand those metrics are real estate agents, which is why finding a good agent is such an important challenge for you to face head on. You also want to understand what the average days on market are. The longer properties sit on the market, typically price drops are coming. That means that properties sell for less than what it's listed for. It's just a way for you to underwrite your deals better on the front side when you're anticipating some of these price drops. You don't need to be scared that these challenges are out there. You just need to be aware of what they are so that you can prepare yourself on the front side to make better offers, buy at a deeper discount, and then have the money set aside to prepare for you to either handle some of those expenses or have the budget in your current numbers to help you pay for them so you're not paying for them out of your pocket. The market is what the market is, and these challenges are here. So make sure you are aware and as prepared as possible. What did you think about that list of challenges? Did I miss something? What challenges do you think are going to be a big deal in 2023? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Those are the challenges that I see in 2023, but they're probably not going to be the only challenges that you're going to face. But the general consensus is you just need to be prepared. You need to know what's coming. You need to understand the metrics of your market, and then you need to be diligent about your underwriting so that you can make sure you're making offers at price points that are going to help you avoid some of these challenges. Challenges come in any type of market. So even as the market starts to shift back eventually in the future, that will just bring a new set of challenges. So don't let these things deter you from reaching your investing goals. Just let them help you be more prepared. Thank you so much for being here. As always, if you enjoy this kind of content, go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe, and give us some comments and feedback so we can know how best to continue to serve you on your investing journey. As always, I am Henry Washington. Thank you so much for being here. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm at the Henry Washington on Instagram, and I will see you at the closing table.